Hey everyone, welcome to Mystic Perp Sports. Thanks for checking out the video today. Today we're going to be drafting from the 8th spot in a 12-team full PPR league using FantasyPros live mock draft feature. So let's see what we can get into today. I haven't done any mock drafts yet, drafting from the 8th spot, so I'm curious to see what kind of team this turns out to be. So the first pick is about to go down. We'll see who that's going to be. Again, drafting from the 8th spot. Shout out Kobe Bryant. But let's see who goes first. Justin Jefferson first, Jamar Chase second. Curious to see where Cooper Kupp is going to be going now that he has his re-aggravated hamstring injury. So that's not a good sign. I'm sure he's definitely going to start to fall down the draft boards. I've done a video where I picked him 5th overall prior. That was before that news came out. I was always a bit hesitant to take him anyway. I didn't like the prognosis, his age, the Rams possibly being bad. But after Jamar Chase, Christian McCaffrey, and then Cooper Kupp, so there's our answer. Cooper Kupp goes 4th in this draft. After Cooper Kupp, Tyreek Hill went, and then going 6th overall, looks like that's Travis Kelce. So we're going to be up here in 2 picks. Stephon Diggs, we're up here on the board now. Who do we have? We're going to go with Austin Ekeler. It's pretty crazy that he fell this far. You know, he is a part of the LA Chargers. Maybe Kobe Bryant had something to do about that one with our 8th pick. But we're going to rock with Austin Ekeler. We'll be happy about that. Very happy about that. Top 3 RB right there. Most likely. And looks like the only other running back to go off the board other than McCaffrey so far in this draft. After we took Ekeler, Saquon Barkley goes, CeeDee Lamb, and then Bijan Robinson to team 11. So let's take a look at who's available still. So Amon-Ra St. Brown just went. Tony Pollard still on the board. AJ Brown, Devontae Adams, and Garrett Wilson. Those will be my top next choices. If they make it back to us, we'll see if that happens. So after Amon-Ra St. Brown went off the board, Tony Pollard goes, and then Garrett Wilson. So 2 of the people that I wanted are now gone. We can still go with AJ Brown. I would still consider Devontae Adams with our next pick if he's there. Derrick Henry, Nick Chubb. Not a huge fan of Nick Chubb, just boring to me. Personal preference, just bored. Just bored with it. I don't really want to deal with it. I don't want it in PPR. I'm sure he'll have a good season, but I'm just bored with it. So that's my personal reason as to why I'm avoiding Nick Chubb. So don't take it too seriously. Devontae Adams. Okay. So we have Ekeler. Devontae Adams just went. Nick Chubb is still there. Not going to take him. I'll take Derrick Henry here, and I think I'll be good with that. Derrick Henry and Austin Ekeler. So we are starting double running back. We're going to have some decent options available for wide receiver later on. So not a route I typically go, double running back, but I felt at that time that's probably the best value and the best talent at that time that we could draft right there. So I didn't want to force anything else. But after we picked Henry, then Nick Chubb just came off the board. After Nick Chubb goes, Jalen Waddle, Chris Olave, and then Josh Jacobs. Ramondre Stevenson goes 210. That's the earliest that I've seen him go, but with the whole Jonathan Taylor thing going down, maybe people are starting to replace where they would have taken JT with Ramondre Stevenson. Can't say I would draft him that early, but to each their own. This guy wanted to go double running back, and I went double running back as well, but Jahmyr Gibbs goes right after Stevenson, and that is another early pick that I'm seeing for another player, Jahmyr Gibbs. Haven't seen him go 211 before. Can't say I hate that either. It is early, but I don't hate it. But after Jahmyr Gibbs, Devontae Smith, and then Mark Andrews, and then Patrick Mahomes, then Calvin Ridley, and then T. Higgins, Aaron Jones, and then Keenan Allen. So we're up on the board here. It looks like Jalen Hurts fell to us. I'm going to go ahead and pick Jalen Hurts at this point. And we'll get one of these receivers on our next go around. I think that's fine. I don't think you can pass up on Jalen Hurts at that point. Alright, so after we took Jalen Hurts, DK Metcalf, Joe Mixon, Amari Cooper, and then Breece Hall. After Breece Hall, Deebo Samuel finally gets drafted, Christian Watson, and then Najee Harris. We're going to be up here in 1 pick. Travis Etienne gets drafted right before us. I would like to take a receiver at this point. Kenneth Walker still good value, Dameon Pierce, but I don't want any more running backs right now personally. Looking at the available options for receiver, it's not my favorite, but I think I will take Diontae Johnson as my wide receiver 1. He's going to get his volume. That's all we can really ask for at this point with our wide receiver 1, with how we've drafted so far, in my opinion. We want volume. He's going to score touchdowns, or he's going to have to score at least 1 touchdown this year. There's no way he goes back-to-back with 0. But after we took Diontae Johnson, then DeAndre Hopkins then got drafted. And after DeAndre Hopkins, we see a double quarterback run with Lamar Jackson and then Joe Burrow. After Burrow, DJ Moore, Chris Godwin, and then Dameon Pierce. How are we all feeling about this team so far? Ekeler, Henry, Hurts, and Diontae Johnson. And right after Pierce, we have Kenneth Walker III, Drake London, and then James Cook. One of the earlier spots that I've seen James Cook go, especially with how Team 2 has been building their team. All they have is Jamar Chase so far. And then they took Gibbs, Mahomes, Pierce, and then Cook. So I don't know if I would have went running back right there if I were him. But after James Cook goes, then we see Miles Sanders come right off the board. After Kilometer Sanders, we have Justin Fields and then Brandon Ayuk. After Ayuk, Madison, Kamara. Now we're up. Our turn again. Tyler Lockett would be a decent choice here. Hockenson we could snag up with our 5th pick. I think I'll go with Hockenson right here. I'll happily lock him in. He got his contract. He's back to go with the Vikings. He's all on board. Solid pick right there in my opinion. 5th round, end of 5th round for TJ Hockenson. I'll definitely take that. So on our next turnaround, I will probably want a receiver at that point. We'll see who's available. Let me go back to this draft board. Where's Jackson Smith listed at? There he is. Okay, so he's down in tier 6. I feel like he's definitely better than a tier 6 based on FantasyPros rankings. Maybe it's just because of the injury. The news is that he's healing pretty quickly. He's practicing, so I would definitely consider him over a good amount of these players. But if Tyler Lockett is there in our next pick, we'll go ahead and go with Tyler Lockett. But after we went with Hockenson, Justin Herbert, Terry McLaurin, and then Trevor Lawrence. All right, so after Trevor Lawrence, Tyler Lockett, and then J.K. Dobbins. So Lockett did get sniped from us. Our wide receiver 2 isn't going to be the best, obviously going to be the byproduct of drafting how we have so far. We started off with 0 wide receivers with the first 3 picks. But of course we did that because Ekeler was on the board, Derrick Henry was on the board. We could have taken Waddle, we could have taken Olave, Devontae Smith, Ridley, or T. Higgins. I felt like it was too early to take them at that point, so we went with Henry. Jalen Hurts fell to us at almost the end of the 3rd round, so you have to take that. And then Diontae Johnson was the next best available wide receiver, in my opinion, for where we were at that point, and we needed a receiver, so we went with that. And then Hockenson, of course, he fell to us. I didn't think he'd last that long, so I'll take Hockenson where he went. But after Lockett and Dobbins, like I mentioned, Akers, Waller, and then James Conner, we're up here. Who's available at receiver? Might have to go with Mike Evans at this point, even though I'm not a big fan. Might have to go with Mike Williams. I think I'll go with Mike Williams. I had him last year on one of my teams. He was a little disappointing, up and down, but that's the Mike Williams experience. So as a wide receiver 2, I think that'll be okay right there. Williams and Diontae Johnson are going to be our 1 and 2. Ekeler and Henry are going to be our running backs, Hockenson our tight end, and Hurts our quarterback. So I don't hate our team so far, but it's not a build that I typically do when I draft. I would like to take a receiver with one of my first 2 picks, but for how this unfolded today, I didn't think it was really worth it at that point. So bam, that's how our team's looking right now. But after we took Mike Williams, Christian Kirk, Rachaad White, Javonte Williams, George Kittle, and then Dallas Goedert. Alrighty, so this is the 3rd draft since the Jonathan Taylor news. And if you're still unaware of what happened with him, he didn't get traded. They ended up putting him on the PUP list. He's going to miss the first 4 games of the season. First draft we did, I believe he went 5th round. And then the most recent draft we did, I think he went 7th round. And then now he just went end of the 6th round at the 6-12. He went after the aforementioned Javonte Williams that I brought up earlier, George Kittle, Goddard, Dotson, and then Jonathan Taylor went. But after Jonathan Taylor, Deshaun Watson, George Pickens, Dak Prescott, and then David Montgomery. So JT is definitely going 3-4 rounds later than he had been before. I'm still not going to take him anytime before the 8th round. I would consider him possibly in the 9th but then again, it's going to be dependent on how my team's looking so far. After David Montgomery, Jordan Addison, and then Marquise Brown. After Marquise Brown, Mike Evans. We're up here. We're basically looking at our flex spot here. We could take DeAndre Swift, Dalvin Cook, Pacheco, Judy, Pittman. I don't really like some of those options at the receiver spot. I think at this point in the draft, I will take a chance on Pacheco in the Kansas City offense. I think he's going to get a bigger passing role this year. I hope he does. Next pick coming up, we'll target another flex option most likely. But real quick, Jerry Jeudy just went, and then Daniel Jones. Man, I totally missed it. I didn't remember Jackson Smith. I would have possibly taken him instead of Pacheco. I mean, it's not the worst pick with Pacheco, but I think I would have done JSN possibly there. He could have been a flex for us, but it would have been a little risky, obviously, because he's injured. He may not play week 1, and then we'd be looking at another replacement to put there for week 1 for us. So it's okay. Just got to keep it in mind. Always be aware of the players that are still on the board. Don't look one way too hard. This is all practice. This is all to get better, and hopefully a mistake that I just made right there in my mind, hopefully that can be something that anyone who's watching this can keep an eye out for themselves in their own drafts. But after JSN, Evan Ingram, DeAndre Swift, and then Dalvin Cook, we're going to be up here in just a second. Let's take a look at who we have available to pick from. Brandon Cooks could be an okay pick, possibly. I just don't want any part of the passing game in Indianapolis. I don't want any part of Indianapolis at all, to be honest. So going back here, I don't want another running back. I think we have enough. We're very running back heavy. I'll take a shot on Brandon Cooks. He's always been serviceable. He's always been dependable for the most part. Michael Gallup can't seem to stay healthy too often. It'd be great if he did stay healthy. I'm not wishing injury on anybody, but he can't stay healthy too often, it seems. So if Gallup goes down, CeeDee Lamb is right there. You'll have Brandon Cooks as the wide receiver 2, in my opinion. So as a flex spot, as a fill-in spot, I don't think that's too bad of a pick right there. And then Michael Thomas just went right after us. For some reason, I didn't see him either. I would have considered him. So there's another lesson to learn. Got to pay attention. Got to take a look at who's there. But I don't feel like I'm missing out too much on that, because I'm not a big fan of how he has been lately. If he's healthy, that's cool, but I don't feel like I'm missing out too much on that. But after Michael Thomas goes Antonio Gibson, David Njoku, and then Khalil Herbert. Up to this point now, how do we think this team is turning out? Hurts, Ekeler, Henry, Deontay Johnson, Mike Williams, TJ Hockenson, Brandon Cooks, Isaiah Pacheco. After Herbert, Michael Pittman, Zay Flowers, AJ Dillon, Brian Robinson Jr., and then Jalen Warren. I was definitely going to consider and most likely take Jalen Warren if he made it to me on my next pick. There's reports, or maybe they're just opinion pieces, that it's looking like Warren could end up taking over the backfield by the end of the season. We already know he's been looking pretty good. We know Najee was dealing with an injury last year, so we'll see how he looks coming into a season fully healthy. That'll be an interesting dynamic to keep an eye out there. In Pittsburgh is Jalen Warren and Najee Harris. After Warren, Cortland Sutton, Samaje Perine. After Perine, Gabe Davis, Zach Charbonnet, Sky Moore. We're back up here on the board. We have some running back options, which I'm not really too interested in right now. Let's take a look at these receivers. We have Quentin Johnston that we could give a chance to, Romeo Doubs, Juju, but at this point, we're drafting this late. Let's try to draft some upside here. I do understand we already have an Ekeler. That's okay. We'll take Quentin Johnston, though. He'll be an upside pick. Again, FantasyPros thought I reached for it. Maybe I did. Maybe I didn't. The 9th pick going to Quentin Johnston, I'm okay with that. I don't think that's too bad of a reach, in my opinion. Do you guys think it's a reach? Was that a bad pick? I think it's fine. And of course, I'm going to think that I made the pick. What do you guys think? After Quentin Johnston goes Jerick McKinnon and then Jamal Williams. While we're waiting for our next pick, it looks like Treylon Burks just went off the board. I do want to say thank you again to everybody who has been watching the videos, liking, subscribing. It means a lot to me. I'm new at all this. I'm just getting started. This is going to be our last mock draft of this series right now. 1 through 12 is going to wrap up after this is done. Then we have the NFL season coming up, of course. Might have some content coming out for that. You never know. I do have a home league draft coming up. Maybe that gets filmed. Maybe that gets put up. Be sure to keep an eye out. We'll see, huh? NBA season is going to be coming up too. I'll be doing stuff with that. I'll be doing fantasy stuff for the NBA. So please like, subscribe, keep an eye out. And we'll have more to come as time goes on. We'll have more to come. After Treylon Burks, though, Tua, and then Damian Harris. Take Bigsby, Rashad Penny, Juju Smith-Schuster right after Rashad Penny. We're back up here on the Bizord. Let's see what we got. We could take Mostert. We could take Rashad Bateman, Nico Collins. Mostert, I think we'll give him a shot because, yes, he is injury prone. I understand. We're in the 10th round. Jeff Wilson Jr. just got put on IR, so he's out. Devon A-Chain is still hurt. You never know when he's going to come back, but I do believe in A-Chain. But we'll go with Raheem Mostert at this point. He'll be a backup. He'll be a fill-in. And like I mentioned, the IR and other injury news to A-Chain is going to help his value right now. After we took Mostert, Ezekiel Elliott, and then Jeff Wilson Jr. So it looks like we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 auto pick bastards again. Half the draft went to auto pick. That's unfortunate, but it's just going to be another thing we have to maneuver and try to draft around. Huge running back run right there. After Jeff Wilson Jr., Elijah Mitchell, A-Chain, and then Kenneth Gainwell. So there's 6 in a row. That started off with Mostert when I took him, but overall in this entire round, there's been 9 running backs to 1 receiver being Juju. So huge running back run in this round. After Kenneth Gainwell, we had Elijah Moore, Tyler Algier, Jacoby Myers, Anthony Richardson, Kirk Cousins, and then Rashad Bateman. We are going to be up in 4 picks. We just took a running back. Our team's looking pretty balanced. We just need to go for the best available upside, in my opinion, or safety net, just in case. I am looking at Tyjae Spears eventually. You know, if something were to happen to Derrick Henry, we have his handcuff right there. I'm looking at Romeo Doubs as an option, Nico Collins as an option. I think he just got took, though. Yep, Nico Collins just got yacked up right in front of us. So right before Nico Collins went, Devin Singletary went. So we're going to be up here right after this next guy. Let's see who we have still. Let's go back again. Romeo Doubs. So he did get taken. So 2 people that we were just mentioning got taken. I think at this point, I'm going to go for the handcuff. I'm going to secure Tyjae Spears. They probably are going to think that's a reach too. Of course they do, but that's okay. I'm drafting a handcuff there. Anything happens to Henry, we got the guy ready to go. After we went with Spears, Dalton Schultz, Kadarius Toney, Rashawn Johnson, Kendre Miller, and then Tyler Higbee. We're going to be up here in 4 picks again. 2 of the bastards in front of us are on auto pick. We just took Spears. I would take Tyler Boyd probably with my next pick just as insurance if something happens with Higgins, if something happens with Chase, and just as a really down on our luck fill-in. If we need Boyd, he can get in for us. He can get into our lineup, and I won't really have a problem with that. Another reach alert, dude. It's okay. Tyler Boyd in the 12th round. Like, really, how much of a reach is that? Come on. After Tyler Boyd, well, let's go back real quick. After Tyler Higbee, Jamison Whiskey Williams, Geno Smith, Niners defense, then Tyler Boyd, Odell Beckham, Cowboys defense, Chuba Hubbard, Chiga Okonkwo, and then Cole Kmet. After Cole Kmet, Dalton Kincaid, Philly defense, Deontay Foreman, Buffalo Bills defense, Alan Lazard, Jets defense, Gerald Everett, and then Jerome Ford. We are up again in just a pick right after this guy. We took, who did we take with our last pick? Tyler Boyd. You can go with Thielen as a bench piece, but we know it's not going to have crazy upside. He'll have a safe little floor if we need it. Let's take a look at this real quick. I wouldn't mind taking Thielen here. Let's go ahead and just go with Thielen. Safe pick, safe piece. just some depth for when we may need it. Looks like we have, so running back, doesn't matter, that's okay. They'll fill in when we need them, so our bye weeks are looking fine with that. Back to the board. After we took Thielen, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Juwan Johnson, Justin Tucker, Aaron Rodgers, Tyler Bass, Patriots defense, Harrison Butker, and Zay Jones. Apologies if you guys can hear the thunder outside. It is storming pretty bad here. It's about time though. So going back to our draft here, Ravens defense or McPherson, who do we want to take between them? How about none of them? I'll go with Daniel Carlson as our kicker. We'll secure that guy right this time around. And then when it gets to our next pick, we'll take our defense with our last pick, of course. Alrighty, draft is about to wrap up here. After we took Daniel Carlson, Evan McPherson, Rondale Moore, Baltimore Ravens, Gus Edwards, Denver Broncos defense, Jake Ferguson, Jared Goff, and then Younghoe Koo. I hope these videos have been a help to everybody, whether it's showing you what to do, what not to do. Maybe some of my opinions made a little bit of an impact. Maybe they didn't. Maybe I made really bad opinions. Hey, it's all opinions anyway. It's fantasy football. I appreciate everyone that's watched though. I really do appreciate it. Going back down to the draft though, Steelers defense, Jason Sanders, Jake Elliott, Brandon McManus, and then Jason Myers. I've mentioned it a few times before. When I do these picks, we just do it right off the rip. What you see is what you get, and I'm not reshooting a bunch of different times to get these perfect drafts and try to present a little false picture. I'm not really about that. So Saints defense just went. Now we're up. We're going to take a defense here, of course. Let's go with Miami defense. Let's call it a day. I'm sure FantasyPros isn't going to like my draft, but I'm not here to impress them. They're probably going to give me a C. I feel like, oh, I need to shut my mouth, huh? 94 out of 100. Appreciate that, FantasyPros. Anyways, doesn't really matter too much. That was our team today. Ekeler with our first pick, drafting out of 8. Then we took Henry, and then we took Hurts. Those were our top 3. Once again, thank you so much to everybody who's been watching, liking, subscribing. I really do appreciate it. It does mean a lot. That's going to be our last mock draft before the season starts here. We'll have more stuff to come. Keep an eye out, and thank you so much for watching again. Peace out.